Hey, 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 she's back another day. Yeah, listen, I'm not going to be on here long, but I am going to say tomorrow I am going live again at 9 o'clock. And if you don't jump on that live, I promise you, listen. So, there's three things I got to tell you, okay? There's things you don't know, and there's things you'll never know. Okay, so we can get that out the way. Then there's things you know, but you don't know you know it yet because you haven't uncovered it. You haven't gotten to the level, you haven't gotten to the space that you needed that information. So your brain hasn't unlocked. It hasn't unlocked that compartment yet. So we're gonna get there, okay? But then there's some things that you know. And there's some things that we all know as a collective that we know. But it's until we get to that certain level where those who don't know move to the side, those who know but don't know they know yet come step forward. And those who know and they know, like myself, on some stuff. I don't know everything. I ain't going to claim to know everything. But there are some things that we all know that once we get to a certain place, a certain point, a certain frequency, energy, and space and time, all is revealed. And we're getting there. Getting there. Getting there. Why are we getting there? Because it's time for those that know, whether you know or you don't know you know yet, it's time for you to know and to use that knowledge as working knowledge. To use that knowledge, not as applied potential, but as applied power. We're getting out of the realm of who has potential. We need to ask, who has the power? Who has authority? Who has placement and assignment? That part. Because guess what? Those who don't know and don't want to know and will never know will be stepping to the side. And they will be like, forgive me if this sounds offensive to you, but I'm going to say it anyway. Is equivalent or equated to having a disability of retardation. There are just some things you ain't never ever gonna get. Just some stuff is just not for you. That's not what you is here to experience. Sorry, I'm from Mississippi, so if you be like, she talk a little, I'm proper and I'm country, just gonna have to deal with it. So there are some things that our mind just cannot process. We are just too far simple for it, okay? But then there are some things that process that we can't necessarily understand, but we see it working, okay? We're getting to the point where we see it and we need to acknowledge it. What are you talking about, Latoya? What are you talking about? So we're not going to talk about Kendrick and Drake and everybody else, because you know what, we can talk about pop culture and we can talk about the signs and the rituals and we can talk about the semantics, and we can talk about all the things that we see. Okay, we can talk about that because we think we know something, but most of us have no clue what's going on in that music industry or the Hollywood entertainment industry. Most of us have absolutely no clue unless you've been around somebody or you know somebody that's been in that industry. Okay, most of us have no clue about business unless you're in business or unless you've been around somebody doing business. You have very limited understanding. Now, you may know how to do some work, but to make it operational and then to make it available to multiple people doing the same task or doing tasks to go to the same goal simultaneously, most of us don't know how to organize. Most of us don't know how to collaborate. And I'm saying us because I don't want to exclude anybody from a potential group, but I want to be real frank with y'all. There are some of us peoples, we got to cut them out. We got to cut them off and cut them out because they are no good. And they apply no pressure. They take away. They limit the force that we really have. This is why I wanted to do this video. So if you held on these 5 minutes, thank you. So I had a comment. I appreciate all comments. I really do. I appreciate all engagements. Okay. But someone asked, why now? Why now? Why do we speak now? Why do we come out of the shadows now? Why do we talk now? Why do we collaborate now? And my response was, you can either be the farmer or the warrior. You can be both, but it's hard to be both at the same time. But the power lies in a person who knows how to farm and knows how to war. When it is time to go do the plowing and the tilling and the growing, you got to know how to do it. But you also got to know how to destroy in the time that you need to know how to destroy. And at this particular point, we need to find the balance of growing and destroying, clearing and cultivating. We need to know how to do that as a people to make an organization and a machine move. We need to know that. We need to know how to build infrastructures, not to go against any particular machine, but to be able to protect and defend and to provide for ourselves. Because guess what? Just like in COVID, you think they're going to be handing out checks at a certain point? No. It's going to be, what did you learn and how can you make it useful? And what are you going to earn with what you learned? And what can you bring back to your village and your people to contribute? It is a beautiful thing when you are able to grow something, but it is even a better thing when you are able to come around your family and have a potluck. We need to get back to that too. I ain't gonna lie to you. You need to get back to family reunions and Sunday dinners. You need to get back to baby showers and weddings. You need to get back to having, I'm not gonna say funerals, but we need to get back to honoring our elders before they go. We need to get back to what our great parents, grandparents, I said it right, great parents. We need to get back to those things that they established for us prior to the fall of this shit here. You need to know how to get in touch with your peoples in the event this phone system shuts down, in the event this internet system shuts down. You need to know how to contact your people, at least to let them know you're okay, or at least to know, send in the emergency team. Come pick me up and take me to the safe zone. I said it, take you to the safe zone, because there are going to be points and places around the world, not any particular country, not any particular place. There are going to be zones that are unsafe and there are going to be zones that are safe. And you need to know where those zones are. If you don't know, you better go start researching. If you don't know, you better start researching. If you don't know who your people are, whether it is color, creed, culture, language, ideas, ideologies, you better know where your people at, because you better be around some people that think like you and are willing to save you. You need to be around some people who are willing to trust you. They need to be willing to understand your perspective. They need to be willing to understand what tools did you bring, because you need to know that you are a valuable and contributing player on the team. You need to know it and they need to know it. I'm getting real with y'all. I grew up in Mississippi, kind of, sort of. I grew up in Mississippi because I was born in Mississippi. My dad was in the military, and I have a very militant mind. I was raised by a man that served his country well, and he is a highly ranked, awarded shooter. I'll say it again. My dad is a high-ranking shooter. When I was younger, before I was 10 years old, I knew how not only to defend myself, but I also knew how to kill a man. I knew these things because my father made sure I had an understanding of defending myself as a delicate woman. And I knew how to protect my children more than anything. And in that time, my children were my siblings. Nobody touched my siblings. Nobody spoke out of their neck towards my siblings. Why? Because I was deemed the protector by my father. And if anyone stepped out of line, talking about my mama, my brother, my sister, anybody like that, it was on me. On me. To the point where I did get whoopings because I didn't protect them in the way that he thought I should. And that was militant. It wasn't stop the fight. It's, did you whoop that ass? Did you take care of it? When you walk away, are you able to walk away and live to see another day? And you better make sure your mama, your brother, and your sisters can walk away with you. Their reputation, their honor, their level of self-control, their mental capacity, Every hair on their head needs to be in place. That's what I was taught. I'm the oldest. I was the first one in. And so I'm sharing that with you. Why? Because we're in a time and a place. If you're a mother, you're a father, you're a friend, you're a cousin, you're a grandma, you're an uncle, your auntie, whatever it is, there are some people that are coming up under you that require you to be willing. I ain't say you got to, but you got to be at a place where you're willing to take heads. You got to be willing to stop hearts. You got to be willing to stand on your power. I'm that one. And so I'm telling you now, there are some things you don't know and you don't want to know. I saw a comment as well on YouTube, and someone was like, with the whole P. Diddy situation, like, if we saw the heinous, we just saw a taste. But if we saw the heinousness of what really happens, we'd be disgusted. We'd be disgusted. We wouldn't contribute. But see, the programming fooled us. The propaganda, the brainwashing, the mind control, that put us in a place where we accepted what we thought was shiny and glittery and pretty. And it turns out that shiny was just nasty. So now we got to be in a place where I know what I know. And what I know is going to serve me. What I know is I have good hands and they are working hands. I have good feet and they're working feet. And I have a good mind and it's a working mind. And you got to be in a place, in a position where all this vessel is in order. I'm not talking about if you're vegan, pescatarian. I'm not talking about if you eat dairy or not. Y'all worried about some real minor shit. I do need to know that I can stand on the line with you and your word is good. I do need to be able to look you in your eye and know that your truth is your truth and that it's not going to fail you or I if I stand on truth with you. I do need to know your character opens doors for you because your reputation and your honor is intact. I do need to know that. But if you looking at people like, you just turn into a little crouched, useless judger. But if you're saying, now look, this is how we can do it better. I see what you're doing, but if you just adjust it, I'm not telling you what to do. Let me help you. I understand. But let me share something with you that's called new knowledge so you can apply it. We're at that place. If you're not contributing and you're not valuable and you're not showing your worth, you don't know nothing. And you're taking up space. And we're at a point and we're at a time we don't have the luxury to take up space anymore. We only have the luxury to break out our tools. And how you use those tools, whether it's to farm, cultivate, grow, plant, nurture, or whether that's to war, destroy, dissimulate, disassemble, annihilate. You got to know how to use your tools, when to use your tools, and who to use your tools on. Because everybody that look like you ain't for you. Everybody that sound like you ain't for you. Everybody that feels good ain't always good. It is time to take your power. It is time to rise up. And that's why I'm dropping the type of videos and the content that I'm doing. First, we're starting with the individual, and then we're working ourselves out to the collective. So if you aren't checking in on yourself, addressing your mental health, addressing your physical needs, understanding how you can get to a place where you are having self-actualization, where you understand your peaks, not just your bottoms, you understand your apexes. When you get to that point, unstoppable. When you get to that point, every room will acknowledge you, whether they acknowledge you like you want or not. You got to come to that space. We got to come to that space. We got to do that thing. So again, I'm going live tomorrow at 9 p.m. So 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. And we're going to talk about whatever you put in the comments down here. We're going to address that. And then we're going to go back into the body scan. We're going to go back into the meditation. We're going to go back into understanding what you're looking at on the TV and what you're looking at on film. We're going to understand about music and frequency and energy, because a lot of times, I'm going to say this and I'm going to get off. I'm going to leave y'all alone. So I remember when I was had to be about 22, 23. And this is when I was very active in the church. And we had these Sunday night services where after church service, we come back about 6 in the evening. And they would call random people up. They would always say, if you're ready and you stay ready, you don't got to get ready. So then they used to call on random people. And you needed to have something to basically talk about or share with the group. And so I was probably, like I said, 22, 23, deep and heavy in the church. But I was still young enough to understand music, right? And so they called me up to go. And I can't say that I was the most excited, but I was the most prepared. And when I got up there, I began to talk about how we hear music. And there are things that are placed in music, there are things placed in film that unconsciously are able to talk to our subconscious, to where we have actions and behaviors that mimic the music and the visualizations that we've seen. And so we become these characters based off of the infiltration of our mind and our perspectives. And so I would tell people, no matter what age group they were in, because you got to remember, I was still young, you have to be very mindful of what you lend your mind and your eye to, what you lend your ear to. You have to be very mindful. And so I ended up going back to school, and I went back to school for psychology, but I didn't want to get into the whole, I want to be a therapist and diagnosing people and handing out medicine and all that. I never wanted to get into that. I did want to offer holistic routes to our people to say you can break the chain and you can break the curse of a program. You can break the curse of the illusion whenever you are ready, by understanding you are in control of your own mind. And when you lend your mind and your ear over to another, you are then contributing to over their power and their frequency. So it is now time for you to take your mind back. It is now time to take your listening ear back. It is now time for you to get control of yourself and understand your purpose and your position in where you're at, and not get distracted again by the sounds and the visual colors, the energy and emotions. You don't get caught up in it, because what it'll have you do, like Malcolm X said, it will have you thinking your brother is your enemy, and have you thinking your enemy is your brother. We back, y'all. It's time. So while they think, or those who think they're doing something that is pushing us down and making us cower and keeping us quiet and subdued, while they think that works, you need to be with your family, putting together a plan, knowing what your purposes are. Some of you are educators. Some of you are musicians. Some of you are culinary. Some of you feed people. Some of you know how to work the land. Some of you know how to build buildings. And I'm talking about family groups. Some of you know how to do things. And if you know how to do one thing, and you know how to get with another person that knows how to do another thing, and you put that thing together, you become a dynamic group and a dynamic package. Again, it's not about color, it's not about race, it's not about creed, but it does have a lot to do with it. And we're not going to talk about that right now because we ain't there yet. Everybody ain't ready to understand the importance of why you have brown skin. Everybody ain't ready to understand the importance of why you think you have brown skin, but really you're green. Everybody is not ready to understand the purpose and the power of why we do use this language. Everybody's not ready to conceive that. So until we get to that space, we need to take some baby steps. We need to start clearing our mind of the clutter and the trauma that we experienced as children. We need to start clearing our clutter and our distractions out of our way so we can start focusing on the moment at hand. Okay, cool, we had some fun. But there's also a time where you put the fun stuff away and you need to address things that are really, really going on in this world. But again, we can't start talking about the things that separate us until we understand the things that bring us together. All right, y'all. I ain't gonna do that to you. I ain't gonna do that to you. Because, we ready, but we ain't quite ready. We there, but we ain't here. Okay? So until we get here, we still got to take them baby steps over there to get to here. Okay? Are you with me? You following? You got it? Now listen. If you ain't drinking water, you need to go find you some coconut water. Spring water now. Spring water, life water. Okay? Not life water, the brand, but spring water, life water. Okay, so if you're not drinking good water right now, at the very minimum, you need to do some coconut water. I'll go get you some bottled water. I'll go get you some key limes, okay? We're going to get hydrated because our mind's going to have to be able to process this overload that's coming. I ain't talking about the overload I'm giving. I'm talking about the overload that's about to drop in this realm, okay? Because there are some people who have moved out the way that were gatekeeping. And because they ain't at the gates no more, there's some information that's going to come in. And it's either going to shock the shit out of you and stop your heart, or shock the shit out of you and give you a boost of adrenaline that you can run through some shit. You're going to knock something down. You're going to have your superpowers, figuratively and literally. I said it, literally, superpowers. If you're not ready for that conversation, don't even make a comment yet. But we did it, another video. So I'm very shy. Not really. I'm bashful to a degree. So I don't like getting online. I avoided it for many years. I really did. But I decided to put myself out there because it's my responsibility. It's my responsibility to share what I've collected along the way, being the quiet observer. And now I can be the bold teacher. Because I've not only seen, but I've tested, and I've been tested. And as God is my witness, I'm still here. And when I'm gone, you ain't gonna forget me either. So it is our responsibility to share the wealth of knowledge that we've acquired along the way. And if you know something and you can teach something, you better start sharing it. Because it's time. It's time, y'all. Time to make a change. We are the people who can do it. Bye, y'all.